I'm the small guy. You're not going to pay me as much.
Yeah.
I want the opportunity to come in, and every time you build a house, it needs these
Right.
1, 2, 3 things.
Yeah.
Pay me to do it. And then I'll service your customer for life. Hey man, how you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Good. Welcome everybody to the Make Trades Great Again podcast. Andy and Eric here. We're going to talk about, kind of like the service contract, builder relationship, home service offerings, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Kind of a mixed bag of ideas and actual real life experience.
Yeah.
Just to give a background to anybody that wasn't in the room when we talked about this before we hit record.
And if you were, raise your hand.
Yeah, raise your hand, would you? I'd like to know. So I had said to you the other day while we were chit-chatting, look, I think a path forward for Awning Plumbing and Heating would be to approach, and this is not anything that I've made up by any means. I want to preface that. It's just an idea that I've had that's different than what I've been doing. And one of the things I've been thinking about is approaching local home builders, custom home builders, it just with some well thought out plans ahead of time, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But offering my services as a home service kind of not warranty. I don't want to call it that. Offering to their customers, like, hey, I'm not your plumber. I didn't plumb your house, but I am the best plumber to fix the things in your house.
Right.
So that's one thing. I want to approach my builder community here in the northern Twin Cities and say, like, look, I want to be the person you call when your customer says, hey, we got a problem.
Yep.
Outside of that warranty period with your new construction plumber, because oftentimes these new construction plumbers are not the service companies.
Yep.
That and I would approach it as well as, here's where I think the growth aspect of it for my company is this.
Yep.
In order to bring on a truck or two, I want to focus. I want to hone down my services, and I could concentrate that effort with these builders by saying, hey, for every house you build, you need some kind of water conditioning. I don't care where it is. I don't care how expensive your house is, that every one of them needs water conditioning. And at the very minimum in our area, you're going to need a water softener. Mm-hmm. In some cases, rural, you're going to need, because we have present, you're going to need iron filtration. So this is not just pick it off the shelf kind of equipment.
Right.
And you need a specialty, and I can be your specialty contractor that'll provide that from the new construction aspect.
Yep.
And when I was telling you this, I'm like, this is how I'm going to do it. And you're like, we're kind of doing that now in a sense.
Yeah.
And so I would love to hear what you're doing, because I think people listening to this are going to I hope that they walk away from this conversation thinking, okay, this is something we're doing. And what Andy said or what Eric said made me think about this. Maybe we could expand it and do something different or more.
Yep.
But what is it you're doing that's kind of along the lines of what I'm talking about?
Right. So we got approached by a local, they're like a construction manager.
Okay.
Right. So the particular community that we're working in where they're implementing this is more or less a gated community. So high-end homes, going to range, I'm going to say the least expensive home there is probably $1.8 million, right? So they go from there to $5 million probably.
Sure.
And so some of these homes are, multiple systems, some of them on the edge of this development, there's a whole string of really nice condos that are probably in that $800 to $1 million condos, right? So they're not like ultra complex mechanicals, but they have mechanical needs.
Sure.
And so what this developer is looking at, and he's been doing his research on this too. He wants to satisfy the customers that he sold a home to. Yeah. And also do exactly like what we're looking at is, how do we continue making reoccurring revenue?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so he approached me with this and says, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And Ben and I have had a handful of conversations over the years. We've put a new HVAC system in his home, I think 2 or 3 years ago, when he did a big remodel. And that's what started the ball rolling, is it was that relationship. And he called and says, "Hey, here's what I want to do." And he painted the picture. He said, "I have these customers who uh, may or may not be here in the sense that they're not here to work on their home, right? That's not their interest. They're where their money is at doesn't involve them doing DIY stuff,
Yeah.
right? They don't want to do gutter cleaning. They don't want to do sidewalk cleaning.
They're willing
they
to
don't
pay for all of these services that they're not
Right.
willing to do.
They want to come to their home. A lot of these are second homes, third home type things. Or maybe they're, just whatever. They're busy, in their professional space and home maintenance.
Or they're not capable.
Right. It's just not something they want to deal with.
Yeah.
And so what Ben's doing is he's gone to these customers and said, "Hey, are you interested? I can provide a full meal deal if you want. You just check the box at what you want us to take care of, and we'll handle it for you every year."
Like a subscription fee.
Yep. And so he's
doing things like snow removal, lawn care.
Yeah. Gutter cleaning,
Salt
sidewalk,
delivery
windows,
for your softener.
Salt in your softener. Right. All of those kinds of things. And then he's just coordinating curating a group of contractors to be able to go do those things.
Yeah.
Who all have a high standard of excellence, right? That's what he's looking for in this. He goes,
he's
"I'm
not
not
doing
looking."
any of this in-house?
I don't think he's doing any of it. I think he's coordinating every single aspect of it out with a contractor that is good in that field.
So he's removing the overhead. Look at this guy.
So, yeah.
Look at that guy.
He's just the manager at this point. And so it's worked out. So what we usually get from him is we have home X, right? Has 2 fireplaces, has a water heater, a furnace, and
AC.
a water softener or AC, right?
Yeah.
Here's a list. And so we have a couple of a lot of those, like the condos would have that particular type of system.
Okay.
And so we basically have a set price that this is a once a year. This is we do this 4 times a year if we want us to come change filters, and we have whatever. And then so he'll coordinate it so that it's effective for our time, that if we're doing houses with air filters, he'll do the whole block. Like, we got these 8, you're doing all of them today. Perfect. So we get a guy that shows up. We know all the filter sizes. We go and do the this quarterly check. Boom, 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 boom. Just literally walk out into the next house, to the next house, to the next house. And, and he's told us, "Hey, I want you to price this competitively. We need to be able to sell this task to the customer, but I also want you to make money at it."
Yeah. You have to be able to repeat it.
Right.
Basically is what it comes down to.
Right. And so that's the key thing. And what he wants to, their end goal is that we don't want the customer to know that we've been there, but we want the customer to know that their stuff works, right? We've been there to maintain their equipment.
So you're making the whole, he's saying we don't want them to know we've been there. Basically saying, like, we're making this as easy and hands off as possible for the customer.
Yeah, because that's what the customer has requested. Now, whether this customer is, some sort of high profile attorney or who knows, right? I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't even, to be honest, I don't even know who the customer is.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
And we're billing them for it.
Yeah, you're billing the company, not the customer.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. So like that's where you're motivated to take on as many of these as possible, because it's less work on the admin side. You don't have to get their billing information. You don't have to explain all your terms and all this stuff over and over and over to new people all the time.
Yeah. And that's, part of one of the things that we're working on here this spring is making it so that they can go in and select, right? Like a fireplace ad is, right? So I got 2 fireplaces, a furnace, and a water heater. Click, click, click. Here's these 4, and that makes it, $4.25 a quarter, whatever it is,
Okay.
And that way he can look at it and say, I don't need to call you to get pricing on this. I already have your, I just check fill out the spreadsheet. That's the total.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to work at that direction. So it's really easy for him to do that in the office and say, I know what's in this customer's home. If you want an HVAC plumbing package, it's, whatever. Here it is. He doesn't have to call me to wait for me to tell him. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
So that's not where I was at with this idea. My idea was obviously like just traditional builder admin side of things. These builders have been doing this forever. They've been referring this water conditioning company, some local place they've talked to twice, and they're like, yeah, they do the work, and call them. I'm talking about your Culligans, your big chains, or even your bigger locals, right? I'm not saying I want to compete against them. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. Sure. I'm saying I just want to be the one that I want to try to earn that builder's business through those services, but I'm looking at it with a different perspective than you might think. I'm not saying this, again, let me go back. I'm not making this up here. This is, I'm looking at it like this. This is something I talk about all the time. I don't like new construction plumbing.
Right.
Not because I'm a one-man show and things I could do it. I could, I did it years ago, and I could gear up and have people out there doing it. I don't know how you can make any money doing it. Here's the main reason. Because I've been on this side of service and this customer relation, building that relationship with that customer, and that hopefully that customer calls you back with an opportunity to work for them again in the future. Right. That's the cutoff with new construction. Yep. You do the work for the builder. The customer doesn't know who you are. Right. I'm making some pretty bold statements there, but it's pretty obvious. Like, look, you build a house, you customer, Andy and Cheryl go build a house. Their builder takes care of all the work. Yeah. 3 years down the road, let's say that house had a basement, was unfinished. That's pretty common in most new construction. And you say, hey, it's time to finish that basement out. I want to make that man cave, Yep. Bathroom down there. Of course there's a bathroom, and you need some heating work done, things like that. Yeah. Who are you going to call? You're going to call that builder? Probably not. Because it seems like it's a much bigger job than they're willing to take on. I mean, they built the house. They don't do the basement, small projects, but you didn't know who the sub-trades were, because why would you? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I want to get past that and be like, look, I want to be involved in this new construction because it ain't going away, but I'm not participating in it anyway at all right now. Right. I've got a couple builders around town that know that I do radiant heat, and when it comes up, and if they're able to sell it, they'll hire me to do the work. But that's few and far between, because every house has the need for water conditioning. Every house has that, so like, I'm trying to look at it that way. Now you've given me a lot to think about, and boy, I mean, business idea, it's not like as if it's not being done all over the country already, but make that management move, become that company, that offers all these services like your buddy's doing. Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, and like say, I mean, it's a sweet proposition for him because he's got a whole pile of like high profile clients that are like, oh, we could pay $1,000 a month and have all of this stuff taken care of for us. Sign me up.
Well, when you have houses that are worth $3, $4, $5 million, that's not a crazy proposition.
Not. Right. And that's an easy sale. And for him, he's looking at it like, I mean, we just got, if I sold the $1,000 a month package to 4 of these houses, it's a $50,000 a year revenue stream
that he just has to manage.
It's just got to manage. Just somebody's got to show up and do the projects, right?
Each of his people individually have liability insurance, have bonding, have licensing where it's required.
Yep. We're all professionals in our space.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting to see how that pulls out. I'm going to pursue this on my end too.
Yeah.
I'm working on the marketing piece of it right now. I'd love to offer that. Hey, I'd like to get into that space where I'm competing against these larger companies that are offering that water conditioning stuff, and just say, look, I'm the small guy. You're not going to pay me as much.
Yeah.
I want the opportunity to come in, and every time you build a house, it needs these 1, 2, 3 things.
Yeah.
Pay me to do it. And then I'll service your customer for life.
Yep. Yeah. I think the the key point to take away from these, and where I've seen success in this post sale, thing is your appearance, and everything about it has to seem like an exceptional value.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
People are willing to spend money on something that they feel like this is
This made my life easier.
Yep.
My life is better because of this.
Yep.
I like my home more.
Right. And it's like you were talking about, like the salt delivery, that's not that big a deal. If you got a young family, no, whatever. Is it a convenience? Well, you know what? They didn't have to haul bags of salt, right? Is that something that you personally are gonna do? Well, I don't know that's something I'm interested in being the guy that's hauling the salt bags, but I sure as heck could find somebody, one of my guys could be set up to do it.
I'll tell you what, we're all busy. Everybody's busy in their own respect. Every time I have to bring salt down to my mechanical room, I just did it 2 days ago.
Yep.
I think, man, why don't I just have a stack of this stuff sitting there? And then I think, well, because I don't want to go get a stack of it and spend half my Saturday stacking salt in my mechanical room, right?
Right.
But somebody else could do it.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm not the only one thinking that.
No.
We got some thinking to do. This is it, dude. This is the start of it. It's a revolution for honest.
It's revolutionary.
All right, man. Hey, I want to remind everybody, hit us up over on YouTube, because we do record these episodes if you're listening audio only.
Yep.
We do record video. And a lot of people are watching them over there. Do appreciate it. And thank you. If you're already on YouTube listening and watching this, super appreciative of your time. And if you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe on the podcast on YouTube. So when you do that, more people will tend to see it eventually. Andy, thanks, man, for your time. Everything
Absolutely.
you talk about is so awesome, and I love it.
Yep.
All right, guys, take it easy. From Mechanical Hub and Mick Plum over on Instagram, this is the MTGA podcast. See ya.
Have a good one.